Shalom. Come on in, family. The title of today's lesson is Nothing New Under the Sun. Hyperinflation, Scarcity, and the Fall of a Corrupt Society. In the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9, it states, "The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." And in today's lesson, family, we're going to cover historically, biblically, the rise and fall of fiat or paper currency, how hyperinflation and gentrification is affecting us as a people. I have a few video clips that I'm going to share and include in today's lesson as well, so fair use. So let us go to the Father's Word. We want to start off today's lesson in the book of Genesis, or Bereshit, chapter 47. And we're going to pick it up at verse 12, family, through 25. "And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren, and all his father's household with bread according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they brought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house." Verse 15 is key. "And when the money failed in the land of Egypt," Egypt simply means house of bondage. Look on the back of your dollar bill. You will see a pyramid signifying that this is spiritual Egypt. "And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we unalive in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses and for flock and for cattle of the herds and for donkeys. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. And when that year was ended, they came unto him in the second year and said unto him, We will not hide it from my master, how that our money is spent. My master also have our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my master's house, but our bodies and our land. Wherefore should we unalive before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live, and not unalive, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph brought unto all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because, the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to the cities from one end of the borders of Mitzrayim, even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned to them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion with Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their lands. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have brought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give a fifth part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own for the seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your household, and for food of your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my master, and we will be Pharaoh's servant. You see, what we see going on in today's society, because of hyperinflation, even though the pay wages have increased and people are making more money nowadays than they ever have hourly, there is something called a wage price spiral, and that's your money rapidly loses buying power. As a result, you need to work harder and earn more money to buy the same products or items. So this cycle never works in the regular citizen's favor because of hyperinflation. As money supply explodes, businesses must increase the prices to stay profitable. So even though your hourly rate or pay has increased, your purchasing power decreases or shrinks. So your hourly rate goes up, but the price of everything you buy goes up or raises even faster or higher. So you're having to work harder to sustain the same level of life when you were making less. So it's never equal. So it's all an illusion. They tell you, well, now you're making X number of dollars, and as they give you a pay raise, the price of everything else dramatically increases. So your pay rate is never at the level to keep up with the modern economy. So many proclaim that a lot of things have changed, but I will prove to you that they haven't. Let me share the first video clip with you, and this clip was made over 70 years ago. Pay attention.
Can no longer be pigeonholed. They cannot be classified as prospects who trade only in certain stores, certain neighborhoods. Today, Negroes shop downtown. They shop in supermarkets. They shop in small neighborhood stores. They'll buy from anyone who wants to sell to them. But we all know that before you can sell to customers, you've got to get to know them. You must understand something about them. What do the Negro customers buy?
Really, the children of Israel.
How do you sell to them?
They call them Negroes. They are the children of
Of men who
Israel.
have spent a lifetime studying the buying habits of customers the world over. Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off-brands. For a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware. But she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives.
Wow.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute.
Wow.
He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale.
To this day. So it's all an illusion. You're making more hourly, but the price of everything is going up. So the average people out there are swallowed up by hyperinflation, having to work harder and to pay more money to sustain the same level of life. Book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Many of us have seen the example of a hamster on a wheel. He's running fast, he's working hard, but he's not going anywhere. The more he runs, the faster he runs, he still stays in the same place economically, financially. And they set and designed this system up like that on purpose, to where the rich rule over the poor. The poor and the so-called middle class, which is just about gone. You basically have nowadays a system of those that have and those that have not. They've almost eradicated what you would call the middle class system. And this is all done by design. Let us go to the book of 2 Kings chapter 6, and let us pick this up at verse 24. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 24. And it came to pass, after Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria, that there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, the besieged set it. They besieged it until a donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. Now, a donkey is an unclean animal, but because of the famine, they was willing to defile their temples and their bodies by eating an unclean animal, because the famine was so great in the land. And a fourth part of a cab of dove dung. Wow. A dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. They was even buying, things that come out of a bird, the bird's waste. And as the king of Israel was passing upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my master, O king. And he said, If Yahuwah do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of thy barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? She answered, This woman gave me thy son, that we may, you see it there, him today, and tomorrow we will, my son. So you see it there, boiled, and did you see it? And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son that we may, and she have hid her son. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes and passed upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. Then he said, Elohim, do so more also to me, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat shall stand on him this day. So I read that passage of scripture, family, to show you when people are in desperation, they are willing to do some of the most unimaginable things that you could think of just to be able to survive. And as we see in this economy with gas, fuel over $4 and something a gallon, and diesel well over $5 a gallon, we see the dollar crumbling right before our very eyes. But the majority of us are stuck in like this frog in the pot syndrome, even though we see everything crumbling around us in society. The overwhelming majority thinks that things are going to remain the same and that it's not getting worse when they're already actually boiling and they don't even realize it. Do you know that the children of Israel, so-called African Americans, those with brown, different shades of brown skin, woolly hair, that can trace their lineages back to the transatlantic slave trade, which went to the four corners of the earth, the islands of the seas, South, Central, and North America? We are the people of the book. They call us African Americans and Islanders and all of these other titles, but we are the children of Israel. And in America alone, the children of Israel spend annually over $1.6 trillion annually, yet the overwhelming majority of us don't own any shoe factories, clothing stores, restaurant chains, you name it. Let me share this next clip with you.
That in 1933, the federal government used a banking crisis to systematically eliminate black-owned banks across America. When FDR declared a national banking holiday, every bank in the country closed. Federal inspectors were given complete power to decide which banks could reopen. The pattern was clear. St. Luke Penny Savings Bank in Richmond, founded by Maggie Walker, financially sound. The inspectors called it risky, closed permanently. Binga State Bank in Chicago, profitable. Strong reserves, also deemed risky, also closed. Meanwhile, failing white banks with actual losses were approved to reopen. This wasn't random. Federal inspectors had discretionary power. They used it consistently. Black banks that served black communities were eliminated. White banks that excluded black customers were saved. The assets from closed black banks were sold to white institutions at below market rates. Wow. A direct wealth transfer. This concentrated banking power away from black communities. It eliminated black business lending. It created the banking deserts that exist today. One policy, systematic implementation, generational consequences. The pattern reveals itself.
And this is the type of thing that now they try to hide after they've systematically targeted the children of Israel, brought them to the islands of the sea, South, Central, and North America last, worked them for over 250 years for free, building up this nation. Then, after enslaving and working them for over 250 years for free, they systematically oppressed the children of Israel through hyperinflation, taxation, and you name it. In the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 12, it says, "Woe to them that builds a town, a city, or a nation with bloodshed, and establish a city or nation by iniquity." And that's exactly how they established this country, becoming one of the richest nations in the world off of the free labor and the backs of the children of Israel. Then, after they systematically done this to our ancestors, we are the children of our ancestors. They systematically oppress us through taxation and hyperinflation. So the thing that has been is that which shall be done. And as you can see, there is no new thing under the sun. Pay attention to this next clip.
We're not poor. We're just broke. Our money goes in one direction, away from us, and we're some of America's most conspicuous consumers. We are a $1.1 trillion annual economy. If we were a nation, we would be the 16th richest nation in the entire world.
Wow.
But again, our money goes in one direction, away from us, and we're some of America's most conspicuous consumers. And we will not stop buying from people who will not support us. We are addicted to consumption. We do not produce anything that we buy, and we do not sell anything that we purchase. We just consume. There was an interesting article on the front page of USA Today, and here's what this article said about Negroes in America. The black baby boomers will be the first generation of Africans in America to raise another generation of Africans in America that will not do better than them.
Wow.
So in the 400-year history of our people, Mr. Hill, in this country, we are the only generation to raise another generation that will be worse off. We collectively need our, and you can count me out of that. I will not contribute to that egregious statistic.
And I pulled that clip. That clip is actually a few years old, and our annual spending now is actually between $1.6 trillion and $1.8 trillion annually. They make merchandise out of us. As we were read earlier, Proverbs 22:7, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. The majority of these multi-billionaires and people that run these nations or countries, you are out here running the Ferris wheel of life while they're living in the lap of luxury, and they actually make their living off of the sweat equity of the people. Book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 20. The poor is hated even of his own neighbors, but the rich have many friends. You ever see the way people behave around people that they know that have money? They always cheesing and smiling in their face and tap dancing and buck dancing around these people in hopes that they will receive some type of monetary reward by buck dancing and jumping through hurdles from them. So a lot of people respect the rich, and they want to stay around them all the time in hopes that they can obtain something from them. But the rich are the very ones that are oppressing society. Still in the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 4. Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. About 2 weeks ago, I was in a store, and a young lady around about 30 years old was at her wit's end. She works over 40 hours a week, she states, and she does not make enough to afford an apartment on her own. Both of her parents are unalived, and she's a single woman, and she's out here with no children working over 40 hours a week. But she says the money that she makes, even though she works overtime every week, she does not make enough to afford an apartment. And she was actually in the parts store having an emotional breakdown, crying, hysterically, because she was saying that her car, she's continually making payments on, and it keeps breaking down on her, so she can't even save money because she's continually having to pay for repairs on a car that she still has payments. So there's a lot of people out here, family, that are really going through in this modern day time. So it's literally systematic oppression through hyperinflation. Then let me show this clip with you, or share this clip with you, pertaining to gentrification.
See something? Rick, it's the
90s. Can't afford to be afraid of our own people anymore, man. Would you two knuckleheads come on? Why don't y'all take a look at that sign up there? See what it says? Cash for your home? You know what that is?
Billboard.
What are y'all, Amos and Andy? Are you stepping and he's fetching? I'm talking about the message, what it stands for. It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening?
Yeah.
To bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit. Now what we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything, black. Black owned with black money.
One of my family members sent me a video today pertaining to gentrification and these things happening in our community. And I stated to them that I actually live this. I experienced this in my life. The neighborhood and community that I grew up in, the entire neighborhood was bought through gentrification, and the homeowners in the community, they gave them pennies on the dollar for their property, of which my father was one of the landowners in the community, and he owned several homes in the community, and they gave him pennies on the dollar through gentrification. And through this process, the neighborhood that I grew up in, they bulldozed down every home in the community. And if you weren't around 40 years ago, you would not know that that was once a neighborhood that had homes, children, and family in it, which I grew up in, because now when you drive through, it's commercial buildings, restaurants, and you name it. I actually lived that. The neighborhood that I grew up in, the entire neighborhood does not exist anymore. It is only in our minds, those of us who are old enough to remember that. But to the younger generation that's 40 years old or younger, they wouldn't even know the neighborhood once existed unless older people as myself and those older than me told them that it once existed. So I lived that, family. Let me share this next clip with you. Pay attention. And that's the history that they're trying to remove out of the schools. They don't want the younger generation to know exactly what they did to the children of Israel and how they are still systematically oppressing them through hyperinflation and many other methods such as gentrification, and you name it. Book of Sirach, or 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 5. Behold, saith Yahuwah, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, unaliven, and destruction. Verse 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man, listen, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So it's only going to get worse, family. This is not fear mongering. This lesson is about preparing and opening your eyes. Please hear my heart. Prepare yourselves. It's only going to get worse. And if you are stuck in the cities and the population centers, when these people have no food and lack of bread and the money continually fails and the cost of living gets unbearable for a lot of people, what do you think they're going to do to you? And you're stuck inside of these cities living next to these people and they don't have food and substance in their home, but they looking at you and your family. Please prepare. Yahuwah Elohim says, behold, I have foretold you all things. The thing that has been is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. This lesson is about preparation, not fear-mongering, and don't tarry. Let me share another clip with you.
Black Wall Street was the wealthiest black community in America. In the early 1900s, Greenwood, Tulsa had thriving businesses, banks, theaters, even private planes. Black doctors, lawyers, and entrepreneurs built generational wealth. But in 1921, mobs destroyed it in one of the worst massacres in U.S. history. Planes dropped firebombs, and the neighborhood was leveled. For decades, schools didn't even mention it. Black Wall Street wasn't lost. It was erased, which is why Tulsa's Black Wall Street was the wealthiest black community in America. In the early 1900s, Greenwood, Tulsa had thriving businesses, banks, theaters, even private planes. Black doctors, lawyers, and entrepreneurs built generational wealth. But in 1921, mobs destroyed it in one of the worst massacres in U.S. history. Planes dropped firebombs, and the neighborhood was leveled. For decades, schools didn't even mention it. Black Wall Street wasn't lost. It was erased.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 13, verse 23. Can an Ethiopian change his skin, or a leopard his spots? Then also can ye do good that are accustomed to doing evil? This is the history that they try to hide, even though they've benefited off of the oppression and subjugation of Yahuwah Elohim's people, which they refer to as black. We're really different shades of brown, from deep dark brown to very light brown, or what they call high yellow with woolly hair. We are the people of the book, and there is nothing new under the sun. Even in our communities, we don't own businesses. All of the restaurants, the gas stations, the hair salons, and all other businesses in the melanated community is owned by other nationalities of people. And this is done systematically on purpose. That is the Psalms 83. All of these nations are unified against the children of Israel because they know once we come together under the banner of Yahuwah Elohim and we are the apple of his eye, they know cream always rise to the top. So this system is totally against the children of Israel, and they continually entice us to sin and break the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahuwah Elohim so they can remain on top. Pay attention to this next clip.
Yes, this is really important. Asian Americans were redlined from opening businesses in white neighborhoods because white people didn't want Asian Americans operating in their neighborhoods and didn't want Asian Americans profiting off of white people. But because the positionality of Asian Americans is weaponized to oppress black people, Asian Americans were being given loans to open businesses in black communities, even though black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities. And as I've said before, as a result of this, Black wealth is essentially paid out twice when it goes to Asian American businesses. Once when the individual pays for the goods or services, and then again when the Asian American business owner removes the profit from the community. Because usually people open businesses in their own communities, and this is mutually beneficial, where the business owner is making a livelihood off of providing goods and services to their community, and by being a member of
So every other nationality of people comes in and takes the children of Israel's dollar out of their community, and they take it into their community. Then on average, the children of Israel, as soon as they get paid, on average, the melanated dollar stays in the community only hours before it goes outside of the community. Whatever your payday is. Oh, I want to take my Isha or wife to this restaurant, or I want to go buy a particular vehicle which is owned by other nations. The restaurants are owned by other nations. The theme parks are owned by other nations. All of the businesses that we spend our money in, all other nationalities of people benefit off of our dollar financially. Should we not try to build our own infrastructure under the banner of Yahuwah Elohim in righteousness? Because then and only then, when we do it Yahuwah's way, will his hand be mightily upon us. We can't do it without him. Let's go to the book of Revelations, chapter 11. We're getting ready to close out in a few minutes, family. Thank you for spending time with me. Book of Hazun, or Revelations, chapter 11, verse 8. And their unalive body shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where our sovereign or Savior was crucified. This is spiritual Egypt. Look on the back of your dollar bill. Woe unto a nation that was built on bloodshed and iniquity. Yahuwah Elohim sees all and then he knows all. Then what did they legalize in 2015? This is spiritual Sodom and Egypt. Open your eyes. Prepare yourselves with this hyperinflation, gentrification, the price increase of gas, food, and just the cost of living. This is the calm before the storm. It's only going to get worse. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 1. Give ear, O Shamaim, and I will speak. Shema or hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass, because I will publish the name of Yahuwah Elohim. Ascribe ye greatness unto our Elohim. Let us look at verse 35 of this same chapter, family. Listen what it says. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the thing that shall come upon thee, make haste. For Yahuwah shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants when he seeth that their power is gone and there is none shut up or left. So prepare yourselves, family. Judgment is coming upon all who have transgressed the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahuwah Elohim. And in those population centers or cities will be the last place you want to be when all Sheol breaks loose, which they call Hell. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 2 as we begin to close out today's lesson. Acts chapter 2, and let's pick it up at verse 40. And we're going to read down to verse 46, family. And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourselves from this unruly or untoward generation. Then they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowshipping and in the breaking of bread and in ploughs, and fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and they sold their possessions and goods and parted them to all as every man had need. This is the calm before the storm, family. Please prepare yourselves. And if you are stuck in the cities, those are the last places that you want to be. And I continually tell the daughters of Zion who are uncovered, unmarried, you are going to soon and very soon need a husband. You're going to need a covering. If you're stuck out here in society without a husband, with everything that is about to break loose, you're going to be in a world of trouble. Please hear my heart. I cannot express how much we need one another. In closing, family, I appreciate you spending time with me. If you would, please comment below, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and share this with all you know that you feel will touch their heart. In closing, as it states in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9, the thing that had been is that which shall be done, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. I am not saying these things to you for you to live in fear. Absolutely not. I am saying these things to you because Scripture tells us that history repeats itself. And what has been is that which shall be again. We see it happen in Egypt. We've seen it happen in Samaria. We've seen it happen in Babylon. And it is happening again. And the Most High Yahuwah Elohim tells us to learn from history while there is still time, family. So the question is not whether the patterns exist. The question is whether we can recognize them and prepare ourselves before it happens again. Much love, family. Until next time, Elder signing out. Have a Baruch Yom or day. Much love, family. Shalom.